Marketers have funnel brains. They always think in terms of funnels. And there is a very solid reason why that would work. Okay. Now you would remember that we had discussed this funnel based reports in one of the chapters. But there is a much more significance of these funnels. And if you have not done this before, maybe you can start thinking like that. So let's learn about this thing. Alright guys, so back to our screen and let's talk about a customer journey. Okay. So the customer journey is like this. On any website, they start at some point and you want them to at least complete some point. Okay. Now it doesn't always have to be a purchase. It could be like reading 10 blogs, but then it's a journey. Okay. It starts with the visit of the user. This is the first visit. And then the next step may be something, and the next steps may be something, and so on. So it forms a funnel. And the funnel's first step is obviously the maximum number of people enter that, and then a few of them enter, and some of them drop from there, and so on. Okay. And any website that you see in the world, you can always model your data like funnels. Why does it help? It helps because you can actually pinpoint between which two stages. Okay. Between these two stages, let's say there was a huge drop, then you have got a very small target of analysis. Now you can just look at the actions that were possible in these stages, okay, and which of those actions did the user take and which of them they did not take, and that's where you can do your A/B testing, or maybe you can put some marketing fix over there to see if it makes change or not. Okay, so your entire target from first visit to purchase, okay, or let's say meeting request, or 10 blogs. Okay, so you don't have to analyze the entire stretch together, right? Because it becomes too difficult to understand why users are not doing this last thing that you want them to do. But if you break down and then check each step of the funnel, and then you are able to figure out, okay, the maximum drop is there in this step, then your target is cut short, right? So that's why funnels are so important to understand. Now let's say on the first visit in our website, okay, users have got all these options to see the products. So they see a list of products, right? And then we said that they would go to one of the products. That's what our expectation is. That's what we want the users to do. Go to one product. Okay. And then from there, they go to add to cart. And then there will be checkout steps. Checkout. Now, checkout steps may include putting in the shipping information, putting in the payment information, logging in, and all those things, right? Your user information, addresses, and so on. So this will have a lot of information that will be taken care of in this step. And then finally, there will be a purchase, right? This is a typical flow of an e-commerce website. And in fact, we can model a lot of different kinds of websites based on this flow. We'll talk about that shortly. But in our current website that we are seeing, this is what we are expecting the users to do. Now, it may not happen that on the first visit or on the second visit or third visit, they actually start looking at the products and then they go to one product. It may not happen. It may so happen that they look at 5 lists of products and go to 2 products, come back, again look at 3 list of products, and then go back, check out 1, right? And then they leave it there. One fine day, they come back again and they remove that from cart and they, take 1 more. And then finally they do a purchase. It could be totally random. Okay. But what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to understand how many times users are viewing the list of products. Out of that, how many times they're viewing the products itself. And from there on, how many times they're adding those products to the cart. And then from there on, how many times they're doing checkout. And then from there on, how many times they're doing purchase. And if we see that between any 2 steps, okay, the fall is too big, or in the first 6 months of the website, there were 25% people moving from list of products to one product, and now it has dropped down to 10%. That's a cause of concern. First 6 months, 25%, next 6 months, 10%, right? So we are not getting to the benchmark that we have been setting for us. So that's what this data helps us do, right? So now if we go back to our website, okay, and we start modeling our data based on this, based on the logic that we have put. So we will become our funnel brains. Okay, that's what I like to call it. And then we start thinking in terms of funnel. You will see that it makes total sense. Whenever there is a bunch of product, we make them count as seeing list of products. Whenever there is one product and its details, we call them product views, maybe. Okay. And whenever there is an add to cart, we call that event as add to cart. Okay. And then so on. But now you will have a question that, okay, fine. First time I, went with a hoodie V logo. Okay. I looked at that product. I came back. So you would go for one product view. Fine. And next time I went with this V-neck t-shirt. Okay. And then you would go for another product view. Again, fine. So there are two product views. But as a manager, as a marketer, how do I know that which product was viewed once, which product was viewed twice, and so on? This is where you pass in the event parameter. You can say that there was one event of product view, let's say, and in that event, pass a e-commerce parameter saying that the product name is hoodie V logo. Okay. And then another product name is V-neck t-shirt, and so on. So once you do that and you capture the parameter on the other side of Google Analytics, you can see that in aggregate, there have been like 100 product views. And out of that, 25 have been from hoodie V logo. Remember the parameter data that we saw inside each event, right? And then we can see that the V-neck t-shirt had 20 views, and so on. So along with events on each step, if you're doing an add to cart, you pass in the name of the product, and you can pass in a lot of such details. Okay. You can pass in transaction IDs, you can pass in the price of the product, and so on. And once you have this entire funnel ready, okay, and we have, let's say, implemented it behind the scene, and users start visiting the website and they take all sorts of action. Okay. Now you don't have to worry about those hundreds of clicks happening here and there. You have to worry about those 5 to 6 events. And then you can go inside each of these events to see how many counts of products have been involved in those event creation. Right. And if you are seeing that between two steps, there is a steep drop in the percentage of users moving to that step, then you can again dig down and look in the product data to see that which products have stopped getting views but add to carts. You can also bunch up all the information that's there in different areas that you want to look at. For example, all these menu items on the top can be bunched under one event, and then you pass in the name of the menu item that's getting clicked, right, as event parameters. So that reduces your entire multiple events to just one. Okay. And then you can just go inside, dig inside the item and check out the data inside which menu item got clicked the most. Okay. And you can do it for all the other elementary items as well. Like click over here, or, searches, right? Or you can keep searches as separate, where you pass in the information of what was being searched, the search term, right? So you get the idea. So let's go in the next chapter now and see how all of this relates to the framework that Google Analytics has provided to us for doing the implementation. Remember all those view item list, view items, and everything that we are seeing? Now is the time we dig deep and understand how these two things are related. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next chapter. Thank you.